What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P. We're back here once again. And you already know what time it is. It is time to laugh to keep from crying. That's what time it is. At any rate, when you see me in front of your TV, one thing's for certain and three things are for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. It's for certain. Number two, we came to give you stats, not none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. Want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And you may be asking yourself, how, Don, how, Mr. P, does one keep his Lions news pragmatic? Well, I'll tell you. Smash the like button, subscribe, and share with your peoples. And once you've done those things, you've indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic. Even when the Lions news ain't good news, you got to keep it pragmatic. Because there's a lot of people out there that will tell you some other things. They will spin it in certain ways. And, we keeps it real. We keeps it real pragmatic. And speaking of your peoples, once you've shared this stream with your mothers, your brothers, your fathers, sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your brothers, your fathers, sisters, you name it. You name it. You have indeed cared about those people. Well, what up, though, everybody in the chat? I'll get to y'all in a second. Speaking of you name it, the Lions have beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, hog, dog, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, you name it, but they don't have Mike McDaniel. Guys, I'm sure you've all heard the news. Mike McDaniel is without a job. And somehow the Lions have an offensive coordinator. Let's let that sink in. Mike McDaniel is without employment. And yet somehow your Detroit Lions have an offensive coordinator. I don't know how that works. Mike McDaniel, the best option, not just the best option on the market. Mike McDaniel being fired as a head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and shout out to the Packers for losing Jeff Hafley, because his defense was really good. Now y'all have got no Jeff Hafley and no Micah Parsons, because Jeff Hafley was hired as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. So shout out to the Packers. Your defense should be asked next year. But maybe, just maybe, Matt LaFleur is better at hiring coordinators than Dan Campbell. And we'll get to that. And I know y'all have got a lot of this. I'm gonna get to all y'all comments. Keep bringing your comments in, and just be patient. Let me get through this. I'm gonna get to y'all. So Mike McDaniel being fired as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins was what I was begging for by the middle of the season. I said, Miami, fire that man. Just let him go. Let him come over here to the Detroit Lions, because Johnny Moe just ain't it. So he was fired when it looked like he was gonna be their head coach. He was gonna be sitting for the GM interviews and all that stuff, helping them to find a GM. Then he got fired out of the blue when Harbaugh came available. He said, "Get out of here, Mike. Gotta go. We want John." They didn't get him. And then People were making videos. This is not a drill. It's happening. You know, the Office meme. It's happening. Oh my God. Mike McDaniel was scheduled to have a meeting with the Detroit Lions to interview for their vacant offensive coordinator position. This became the best case scenario. This became the dream of all Lions fans, not the ones that have no brains, because you know they are out there. We're going to get to them in a minute. But all the Lions fans that could understand that Mike McDaniel came from the Shanahan tree and everything that he did in Miami with the run game with Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. Oh, by the way, we have a Devon Achane of our own. His name is Jahmyr Gibbs. He knows how to use a guy like Devon Achane. He's definitely going to know how to use a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, which didn't seem to be the case last season, especially down the stretch. And yet we've hired someone not named Mike McDaniel. And here's the reason. Dan Campbell liked Mike McDaniel. He really did. Right? So Dan Campbell was into Mike McDaniel, pause. And Mike McDaniel was into us because Mike McDaniel spoke very glowingly and very highly of one Dan Campbell, one Jared Goff when they did the joint practices with us last training camp. According to Jeff Darlington, the Lions organization didn't feel that Mike McDaniel was a fit. Guys, y'all better be ready for a long off season. You need to be ready for a long off season, and you need to lower your expectations because this regime is not concerned about winning. And I hope I'm wrong. And I'll gladly be wrong. And matter of fact, somebody can clip when I said this, and if they go on to do good things, great things, then you can come back and say, remember when you were out on Brad and Dan? Yeah, I remember that because I'm out on Brad and Dan. Let me tell you why I'm out on Dan Campbell. We cast this wide net to make another Johnny Morton hire. Last year, nobody was interested in Johnny Morton, and we hired him. I don't even think we really interviewed anybody else. This year, nobody was interested in Drew Petzing, and we hired him. And it's worse this year because, as I started out saying, Mike McDaniel is still without employment. And yet we have employed an offensive coordinator. We have employed an offensive coordinator who was fired by the Arizona Cardinals. I just want to I just want to revisit something real quick. Okay. I just want to jog y'all memory. That's the wrong one. Okay. All right. What are we? Hold on. I'm trying to find the 2025, but it keeps showing me 2024 for some reason. Oh, it was 2024. Okay, my bad. Okay. My bad. For some reason, I thought we played the Cardinals this year. Okay. Yeah, it was 2020. It was last season. 20-13 was what we had. That was our game against the Cardinals. 20-13. That was the game where Marcus Davenport got hurt for the season. Let's see here. Rushing. Kyler Murray had 45 yards. James Conner had 17 yards. Benson had 8 yards. DeMarcado had 7 yards. 3 running backs touched the football, and they rushed for a combined 32 yards. The good thing that I heard about Drew Petzing today is that he had top 10 rushing attacks the last few years. But the familiarity that we had with Drew Petzing on the field, playing against him, was that we shut down their running game. That's when our running defense was good. So when he goes up against top 10 rushing defenses, his rushing attack does what? People were thinking that Mike Kafka was a good hire at offensive coordinator just because of the game that they played against us, where Jameis Winston went crazy, where we allowed 500 yards of offense and we couldn't stop a nosebleed. Even though our defense was trash, people thought that Mike Kafka would be a good hire. So when our defense was good and we played against this guy's offense and the running backs, because we're talking about running backs because we don't have a Kyler Murray who's rushing for 45 yards. There were 3 running backs that got used in that game, and they all combined for 32 yards. Top 10 rushing defense against top 10 rushing offense. Top 10 rushing offense amasses 32 yards from the backfield. And we're somehow supposed to be excited about the prospects of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And we have no idea what's going to happen on the offensive line. We don't know what Brad Holmes is going to do. But all I know is I saw Joe Thuney, who's a guard who was acquired by the Bears for a 3rd-round pick, move out to tackle just because we've got to stem the tide of Jared Verse. Let's move you out to tackle. Okay, cool. And did a pretty good job. Let me read your comments, man, because I know they're gonna get away from me. Let me read them. Don't be scared to super chat. I do accept those. Don't be scared. All right. Mr. Morale 313 says, "Is it now safe to say that the Lions don't want to win?" I'm on that. I'm on that pathway. And let me just continue that thought when I said I'm out on Dan Campbell because this guy was the best man at Osama bin Johnson's wedding. He's best friends with Osama bin Johnson. He worked with Hank Fraley in Minnesota. Oh, this is a nepotism hire? Because he wasn't even on the list of people that you were interviewing while you cast that wide net. It was like Dan Campbell was like, look over here at this wide net that we're casting. Ooh, so wide. Such a wide net. Ooh, we're casting. Hey, Drew, you want a job? Yeah, I know you know, Dan. I know you know Hank. Yeah, you're familiar with the way we want to do things. Our scheme. You're a fit. Yeah, you're hired. Ooh, Lions fans, wide net. Ooh, we might get Mike McDaniel. Ooh, if we don't get Mike McDaniel, we could get Jake Peetz because he's good. Yeah, he was with McVay and he's currently with the Seattle Seahawks. And oh, look what they're doing. Oh, he's the passing game coordinator. Oh. I thought I was gonna get up here and crash out. I'm not gonna crash out. I'm not gonna crash out. There's no. What's the point? At this point, I expect this stupidity. This feels like this feels like Bob Quinn's final year here. When they just drafted Jeffrey Namumbo Oh Hell No Kuda just because they felt like they had to win now, and you draft a corner who sucks ass. 3rd overall to win now for what? For who? Hell, I mean, if you draft Justin Herbert, it's a different trajectory of this team, and I don't know what the trajectory is. I wanted to get up here today and talk about how I was upset that Carlton Davis still owns CJ Stroud and had 2 picks off of him, just like he did the last time he played him in Detroit. And you let that man walk out of the door because you didn't want to give him $4 more million a year. Yet, y'all trumped all of that news and hired Drew Petzing, Pretzel. I'm gonna call him Pretzel because my freaking brain is tied in knots trying to figure out what exactly the F are we doing. Just curious about the guy. Oh, I'm curious too. This hire, questionable. I think it's more than questionable. Don, I do have a theory. This guy is tied to Osama bin Johnson. Is he trying to help us? Whether he is or whether he's not, he shouldn't have been allowed in the building. And we're going to talk about more in depth about some of the stuff he does. And it's wild. This is a younger Johnny Morton, bro. It's crazy. Once Buffalo opened up, we weren't getting McDaniel. No, that's not true. Because he was interested in the Detroit job. And if you weren't getting McDaniel, out of all the people that you interviewed, how the hell was this guy your backup plan? How was he your plan B? I don't get it. None of the people that we talked about, except maybe Arthur Smith, would have been the option that he is. They have some no name, no one has even heard of. What the hell? No, the Cardinals have heard of him. There was a tweet. Shout out Easy. There was a tweet he said that he found that Cardinals fans said, heartbreaking news. Drew Petzing, offensive coordinator, was found alive. I mean, the fan base hates him that much, and we hired him. When the fan base is tweeting out things like that, heartbreaking news, he was found alive, that tells you something. As much as I call Osama bin Johnson a traitor and a terrorist, we loved Osama bin Johnson once before. His name used to be Ben Johnson. He left and went to Chicago and then adopted the name Osama. He changed his name legally to Osama bin Johnson because he knew he was a terrorist. He embraces the role of terrorist. It's what he is. We hired this dude over Kafka, LOL. And no. So I'm not gonna let y'all do that. I'm not gonna let y'all do that. Today, I don't want to hear nothing about we hired this dude over anybody other than Mike McDaniel. That's what we're not allowed to talk about anybody else. We're not allowed to talk about Mike Kafka, Arthur Smith, Zach Robinson, T. Martin. We're not allowed to talk about anybody else that we could have had or we could have hired other than Mike McDaniel. Not today. Not today, Satan. Today is a day of mourning. The loss of Mike McDaniel, who is currently unemployed, who the Lions said they didn't find him to be a fit with the organization. If you want running game, you go to the Shanahan tree. Mike McDaniel fell off of that tree like an apple when it's ripe, dropped right at the base of the tree, and was hired by the Miami Dolphins as a head coach. Because you know where Mike McDaniel was when Sean not Sean when Kyle Shanahan was developing and his philosophy. He was in Washington with him. Even worse, not only was he in Washington with him in the early stages of Kyle Shanahan becoming the mind that he was, he helped him become the mind that he was. He worked on that mind with him from the apex. Now, obviously, he's Mike Shanahan's son. But as far as how he was going to do it and his philosophy and all that stuff, Mike McDaniel was right freaking there from the beginning. We had a guy that was at the beginning of the Kyle Shanahan tree. He was one of the seeds. Right? I compared him to the apple that fell. No, he was one of the seeds that they planted and the tree began to grow. This is Mike McDaniel. And you have Jahmyr Gibbs, and Mike McDaniel had Devon Achane. And this year, Mike McDaniel had Devon Achane and I forget the dude's name. Big back. Guess what? Monty and Jahmyr. There was an issue that we had all season where we couldn't get Monty the football. Now, this guy may come in here and get Monty the football. That's great. I don't care. You had Mike McDaniel in your crosshairs, and all you had to do was take the shot. Mike McDaniel is the 10 point buck that you were hunting, and you got Bambi. What the frick are you doing? You got Bambi, bro. You got a fawn. That prize buck was right there in your sights. All you had to do was take the shot. But then you turn around and shot a fawn. So no, not today. Not today, Satan. We are not talking about you hired this guy over anybody else other than Mike McDaniel, because that will bring it home for you. That'll bring it home for everybody. We hired this guy over Mike McFreaking Daniel. I don't even want to do this show no more. I don't even want to do it. I don't want to do it. This is some bullcrap, bro. Lower your expectations. Y'all talking about Super Bowl or bust. Bust. Yeah, bust. Ain't no Super Bowl coming. Not under this regime. I'm sorry. Because they're too scared to do anything but hire guys they know. It's freaking maddening. It's ridiculous. Mike McDaniel wasn't going to sign before a hearing and no to coach Josh Allen. Here's the thing. If Mike McDaniel waits to be the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, and he gets the job, let's say a week from now, is Drew Petzing still on his couch at home? I think so. Could you have waited for Mike McDaniel? Yeah, you could have. Could you have waited for someone who's currently in the playoffs? Yeah, you could have. But we did this bullcrap. How do we go from being hopeful we're going to get Mike McDaniel and then end up with some dude from one of the worst teams in the NFL that nobody's ever heard of? That's what we're here to talk about today. That's it. I'm not defending this hire by any means. It was rushed. And what did you rush it for? That's it. I don't understand. Bro, I watched Calvin take our team to OT. That says a lot. No, it doesn't, Schiff, because our defense was trash. Remember this? Our defense was trash. And that's why I made the comparison about where he was and when we played him, because our rushing defense was top 5 at the time, and he couldn't get nothing but 32 yards with his running backs. What happens when we play teams? Again, I came here today to talk about the defense that I see in these playoffs and how far away the Detroit Lions are in philosophy, in scheme, and in talent on the defensive side of the football. That's what I came here to talk about today. But now we got to talk about this bullish and this bum-ass hire. Listen, people are even talking about, and I don't know why they would be talking about this. I don't know why. Because he's been an offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals the last 3 years. But there are those who believe that Dan Campbell will call plays for the first half of the season so that he knows what it is. I'm not saying that's the case. But if it is the case, why the hell are you hiring this guy? We don't need the tug of war. You went out and cast this wide net. Remember, look over here, Mike McDaniel. The net is so wide, guys. It's so wide. And then you hire a guy that you may potentially need to break in and teach how to call plays the way you want them to be called. What is the point of that? I don't get it. What's the point? Mike McDaniel had coaching interviews just to get a flight paid for and to get wined and dined. He wasn't going to take the Tennessee Titans job. He wasn't going to be the head coach of the goddamn Cleveland Browns. He wasn't. He just wasn't. You know where he may end up? And y'all may hate to hear this. And I'm going to hate to say it. If he's not a head coach, he may end up in Philadelphia. Because I made the case as to why he would choose Detroit over Philadelphia. And by all reports, it seemed that he was going to. But now you forced his hand. And you just said, hey, go to Philadelphia because we don't want you over here. Crazy. It's crazy. That's crazy. One of my two top choices for OC will be the head coach of Buffalo. Book it now, McDaniel or Daboll. I mean, the Daboll thing makes sense because he was in Buffalo before. He worked with Josh Allen before. It's possible. What up, Dolamico Cardenas? He says the Arizona Cardinals had the most bland offense in the NFL. Not a good hire. I said Johnny Mo 2.0. This is another Johnny Mo hire. Everyone's so quick to judge before knowing anything. We as fans always do this. Everybody who is anyone was a no-name at first. Mark Bartholomew, he's not a no-name. He was the offensive coordinator of the Arizona Cardinals for the last 3 years. Go back and look. Just go look. He's not a no-name. He's just not a good name. Hey, Don and fans, I agree. Quite the cluster F that's been happening for way too long. Yes. Baltimore is no longer the most enticing job. It's Buffalo. I don't know if I agree with that because there are caveats. Why didn't Josh Allen get it done is the question that you're going to be asking. Lamar didn't get it done because of injuries. And then you go, okay, well, it's playoff Lamar. Well, Josh Allen failed to get to the AFC Championship game without Lamar, without Patrick Mahomes, without Joe Burrow. None of those guys were in the playoffs. It was just Josh Allen. He said, F the big three, it's just big me. And he wasn't big enough. So I don't know. I think they're still similar. Also, we got a super chat in here. Let me get to that one. Where is it? It's down here. Okay, let me put this on the screen. He says, from Ed W 4956 $5. He says our new OC looks like Gomer Pyle off Full Metal Jacket movie, and DC going to be his drill sergeant daddy. This better work. DC is officially on fire. He's officially on the hot seat. He's definitely officially on the hot seat. I said that earlier. All right. So I appreciate you with the super chat. So again, as I said, I don't know. I think they're equally as intriguing. Don, I don't know what to say. I don't either, Mega Hustle. I'm trying. Y'all said that same thing about Morton. Which same thing? That he was trash? When they hired Morton, see, here's the thing. When they hired Morton, I tried to figure something out. Okay. I'm not trying to figure anything out today. Okay. I tried to figure out a positive spin to the Johnny Morton hiring. I'm no longer doing that. Because the benefit of the doubt is gone. There is no more benefit of the doubt. You don't have it. After what we went through with Johnny Morton, brother, do y'all understand that this man's use of 13 personnel, all these tight ends, is like the most in the NFL? It's up there. It's top 5, which means he doesn't use a whole lot of wide receivers. We got a whole lot of wide receivers. I'm not going to go through another year of someone not understanding how to use Jameson Williams. Because you would think before Johnny Mo, you looked at our offense, you looked at our weapons, and you said, damn, this is easy. Anybody that comes in here, you get the keys to this offense, and you just don't screw up. Sprinkle in some Amon-Ra St. Brown, sprinkle in some J-Mo, sprinkle in some Monty and some Gibbs, sprinkle in some Laporta. We don't even know what Laporta is going to look like when he's going to be back. He had back surgery, guys. Back surgery. My back was effed up for years. Bro, it took about from COVID to earlier this year. I'm no longer a Division I athlete. You know what I'm saying? I'm no longer, in the top tier shape of my life like I was back when I was playing football. Okay? But I was working out and all that stuff. Right? So we don't know. The back ain't something to play with. We don't know what Sam Laporta is going to do. We don't know if he's going to return to form. Brad Holmes may have his Bob Quinn or his Martin Mayhew moment. Remember when Martin Mayhew hired, or was it not Martin Mayhew that hired him? Jim Caldwell hired Joe Lombardi. And Joe Lombardi went to Martin Mayhew and said, I need that tight end. Aaron Donald, I need that tight end in the first round. I need Eric Ebron to make my offense go. And if this dude is constantly using 13 personnel, he might just put in a request for a tight end. Brother man, do we need to use a single draft pick on a tight end? No, we don't. We don't need to do that. I'm not lowering my expectations. If this dude don't work out, Campbell better figure it out before the end of spring training and do something different before the season starts. The problem with that, Nagurski, is this. The problem is this. By that time, everyone's hired. And you got nobody. You just have to throw up a Hail Mary and go, young offensive something, passing game coordinator, spin the wheel, that guy. That's what you would have to do at that point. And this team is not going to make any changes by spring training. This team is not going to make any changes by training camp, because it was clear in training camp that Johnny Mo was trash. It was clear. Remember, we were getting all those reports out of training camp that the defense was just absolutely locking down the offense. And we thought, hey, yeah, the defense is taking strides. No. It was because the offense was cheeks. And we saw it week 1. Everything that they said about the offense, not performing. Week 1, we came out and got embarrassed by the freaking Packers. That's the problem. That's why I said you got to lower your expectations. But I told y'all before this offseason started, I told y'all before we missed the playoffs officially, or as we miss the playoffs efficiently. Y'all need to be Philly fans, bro. Y'all need to be Philly fans. Because I'm going to tell you something else in a minute. I'm going to tell you something else. And it might blow your mind. We'll see. It makes me sick. Ben Johnson went deeper into the playoffs than we did. Oh, sorry, we didn't get to the playoffs. Facts. Now think McDaniel ends up in Tampa. Well, that would suck. Nobody knew who Ben Johnson was either. Mark Bartholomew. This man has been an offensive coordinator for the last 3 years. He's not a no-name. He's just not a good one. I keep saying that. What up, though, Tactical Sport? The Lions are no longer a serious team. They're not. I'm going to say that this is a good hire. He will make our running game better. He was coaching average players in the NFL. Guess what? We said the same thing about Johnny Morton last year. We said the last time he was a head coach or an offensive coordinator, he had guys like Bilal Powell. He had guys like Josh McCown. He had guys like Robbie Chosen Anderson, Jericho Cotchery, whatever. He had these guys who were nothing, and he got the best out of them. And then he came to our team and fell on his face because he couldn't use any of the weapons that we have. That's what happened. So I'm sorry, no benefit of the doubt. You must prove me wrong, Drew Pretzel. Okay? Drew Pretzel has to prove me wrong. And I'm open to be proven wrong. I will be so glad if this man comes out and proves me wrong and we have a top 5 offense again. We have a top 3 offense again. We're the number 1 offense in the league. That would be awesome, outstanding. The reason that we have these takes and these reactions is because we've been watching this team do the same stupid ish over and over and over and over again and expect different results. Osama bin Johnson was a guy that came through with a play that he drew up in the sand and presented it to Dan Campbell. And Dan was like, you know what? You just might be good. Right? But when Dan Campbell has to go out and hire a coordinator, hey, Anthony, what's going on? He just looks through his contacts. Hey, Anthony, you want to come and be the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions? Cool, fired. Hey, Johnny Moe, you want to come be the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions? Cool, fired. Hey, Kelvin, you want to be the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions? Cool. Not fired yet, but also not very good. The accidental guy that was a holdover from the Matt Patricia error, as I like to call it, is the only person out of any Dan Campbell decisions that has come in here as an offensive coordinator and been not even just good. He's been great, but at least good enough, because the other 3 guys or the other 2 right now were not even good enough. They were fired after having their play calling duties stripped. They were fired. All right. Pet project fatigue. Facts. Also, Brad and Dan just signed their blue slip. They will not be retained beyond their current contract. I would say that I agree with you. But I'm going to say something else about it. With now 10 coaching jobs open, it was going to be hard. Pause. It may have been, but Drew Pretzel ain't. If y'all want to talk about how he went to Harvard, he went to Yale, he did all of this, whatever, that's great. That's fantastic. But it didn't help him in Arizona. It didn't. Bro, I can't anymore. The Lions is killing me. They're playing with us in our faces. Facts. Pink slip. Okay. They don't want a Super Bowl. I don't think they do. WTF, says Phil C. Project players, project coaches. Is Dan burnt out? Is this Dan's replacement or Dan's life raft? Well, it definitely ain't his replacement. I'll tell you that much. Carnival fans, I think Cardinal fans hated this guy. They did. Dan's fourth down addiction counselor. 2024 is supposed to be the new OC coordinator best year. You mean 2026? We played them. Oh, yeah. Okay. I got what you're saying. That was supposed to be his year. Yeah, we played them, and as I said, 32 yards from the running backs. 3 running backs put up 32 yards in total. 17, 8, and 7. That's it. Are the Lions caught in a whiteout, blinded by past success? I don't know what they're blinded by, but they're blinded by something. We have a 4th place schedule. Off talent alone, we should be 500. And that doesn't get you to playoffs. I like it. I will come back and watch this later. All righty. If we go 1-3 to start, I don't see DC keeping his job through the season. I don't know that Sheila is going to fire him during the season, especially after 1-3 when he started at 1-6 and barely missed the playoffs. I'm hoping Mike told them no and they just spent it like he wasn't a fit for us. Maybe. But in the interest of optics, you can't say that. You can't spin that. That's dumb, right? In the interest of optics, your entire fan base wants Mike McDaniel. If he tells you no, you let him go and get hired somewhere. You didn't even have to spin it. You just let him go and get hired. If Drew Pretzel was your guy, then you knew he was still going to be on the shelf with the rest of the pretzels. You didn't have to rush in and hire him. You could have let Mike McDaniel land somewhere else. And you could have worked out a deal in principle. And you could have said, look, for optics' sake, we're going to go ahead and we're going to announce this after Mike McDaniel gets hired. You got PR people. You got a PR firm that works for you. You can't, or in-house PR, whatever it is. You can't do this, okay, and spin it like, well, he didn't want us, so he just wasn't a good fit. No, he just has to go get hired somewhere else. It's very easy. He's the most coveted, especially for offensive coordinator. I don't know about head coach. I wouldn't say he's the most coveted, but anybody that wants an offensive coordinator is reaching out to him. More like Rudolph the Clown-Nosed Reindeer. Just watch the Natty make you feel better. It's not. College football can't do nothing for me right now. Shepard stays after all. Yep. Man, Brad don't care about the defense. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He sat up there with a straight face and said, I don't know what being aggressive looks like. Define aggressive. But yeah, he said he was going to be aggressive with the offensive line. So we'll see. I was always on the Dable fan train. That's who I wanted. Yep, I remember that. Morton was a pass guy. Drew was a run guy. How can you be a pass guy and not know how to use Jameson Williams? I mean, whatever you're calling yourself, right? If you're calling yourself if you're calling yourself a baker but can't make a cake, I don't care if you're calling yourself a baker, that doesn't make you one, right? He was a pass game coordinator but couldn't coordinate the ball to Jameson Williams. He was a pass game coordinator, but couldn't coordinate the ball to anybody else except for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was a pass game coordinator, but couldn't do nothing but throw smoke screens on 3rd and long. He can call himself a pass guy all he wants. He ain't good at it. That's all I can say. Drew didn't have a 330-yard season last year. What you mean? Who had a 330-yard season? Back to Baltimore. Why has Lamar never gotten it done? Well, ask Mark Andrews, who drops wide open touchdowns in the end zone to win the game in the playoffs or to go to overtime. Ask Zay Flowers why he fumbles on the goal line. You know, it's not it's not just Lamar not getting it done. I think in the first few years of his career, it was more so his play. The last couple of years have been mistakes by players on the offense. Okay, now with the Mark Andrews situation, yes, Lamar did throw an interception or two during that game, but when you have the opportunity to win it all on the last play or to go to overtime on the last play and you drop it and you're wide open, that's your fault. That's not the quarterback's fault. Sheila, please tell the team I am old. You have had the Lions for around 65 years. You will never have a great organization. You're too cheap. I'm going to mention that. Goff ain't RPO anything. I wish fans would cut that out. Who said Goff was RPO? This hire is straight trash bag. This organization is not worried about winning. I do not disagree. Or Monty or Tesla or Gibbs. Gibbs needs to learn blocking. It's not that Gibbs needs to learn blocking. You need to, he's not that big, bro. You need to put him in better positions. Use 2-back sets. And when it's pass pro, have Monty in the pass pro. It's not that difficult. It's a very simple thing to do. Again, I used to be an offensive coordinator. It's not that difficult, man. It just, innovation was my thing. So it's crazy. And as I said, we'll go during this offseason when we hit that lull, when we're not talking about mock drafts and we're not talking about, the draft coming up and free agency, when we're not talking about all that stuff, I might go over some plays, create some plays with y'all, and show y'all what I use and have people send in plays in, just something different. No one else is doing. Go Adams. Rams. The whole NFL just had a sigh of relief that the Lions didn't hire Mike McDaniels. I believe it, bro. I mean, all the weapons we got, and we know Mike McDaniel know how to use them. That's the thing. Keep up the great work, Don Wick. Shout out from Florida. Shout out to you, Mr. Detroit City. Hiring Ben Johnson's best friend who was in his wedding is the biggest SOY beta move I've ever heard. I've ever seen in Detroit. It wasn't great. Where does Scotty Montgomery fit in? I don't know. He's run game. I don't know, bro. At this point, again, I'm not defending this decision. It was rushed. I genuinely believe Dan panicked. How? How'd you panic? Because Kevin Stefanski got hired and John Harbaugh got hired? Where was the panic? Where was the panic? Wasn't nobody hiring this dude, bro. He got fired from the Cardinals. Goff is our QB. We was never winning nothing anyway. 313 Kurt. Yeah, but with all of the available options, there was no reason to panic. Facts. Am I buying wet crap? Yeah, no, it's crap. I'm not buying anything. It's ridiculous for it to not be a good fit. But just like what Mr. Morale 313 said earlier, if you're trying to spin this, if you got rejected by Mike McDaniel, you look worse by hiring Drew Pretzel and passing on Mike McDaniel. You look terrible. That's not a thing that you spin. People spin things to make themselves look better, not to make themselves look worse. It's terrible. You don't that was a terrible hire. Panic to get players and personnel is the MO of this regime. Brother, then on the hot seat, then, because if you panicking, brother, the playoffs ain't even finished. We're into championship week. The Super Bowl is in 3 weeks, bro. The playoffs are not even finished. And then you have a guy that you could potentially hire that's in championship week right now. I don't understand panicking. I really don't. And which is why I can't accept that being the reason that this happened. It was just the whole good old boys club that the Detroit Lions has turned into. Let me hire this dude's best friend and hopefully some of the magic rubbed off on him. Bro, look, Osama bin Johnson is a phenomenal coach. He's Osama because he's a terrorist. He's a phenomenal coach, bro. The Bears got it right. And it's unfortunate that they did, but you can't replicate. Like, now you're chasing Osama bin Johnson. When you had a guy, you've got a guy off the McVay tree sitting here in the playoffs. You got a guy that was off the Shanahan tree, like I said, was there in the beginning with Mike Shanahan, with Kyle Shanahan. You had that guy, he was available for you to hire. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? A guy that just got fired after 3 years in Arizona. My guy, in 3 years, Jonathan Gannon, what? 15 games? He won an average of 5 games a year, bro. That's terrible. And this guy was your offensive coordinator. Go Hoosiers. I'm originally from Indiana, so couldn't resist. Okay. Shout out to you, Jody. Morton was I'll pass guy. Just to play devil's advocate, if Dan was flipping through his contact, why wasn't Daboll brought in at all? That pissed me off before this. I don't know. Again, I don't know that Daboll wants to be an offensive coordinator. I mean, you take what you can get, but I don't know. Maybe the Jackson Dart thing with him running into the tunnel or the medical tent to try to save his job. I don't know. David Shaw was our passing game coordinator. Yeah, I know he was a pass game coordinator, but I'm saying Johnny Moe, before he got to Detroit, was a pass game coordinator, right? So, that gives credence to him being a pass guy, but you were a pass guy and couldn't figure out how to pass to Jameson Williams. Right? That's what I'm talking about. I've been saying David Shaw since Osama left. Bro, I don't even know, bro. I'm starting not to trust anybody on this staff, man. I bet everybody is excited about the Lions' new OC. We are not excited at all. What up, though, Justin Fan? I hope not. We holding off on that, but it might be, bro. Don once had a lineup where he had 2 kickers on the field at once. Guy's a genius and totally mind after the other team. Facts. They couldn't figure out which one of them was going to kick off. Yeah, this may be the beginning of the new SOL. Damn, that's terrible. New SOL. The new same old. That's crazy. Watch the Eagles hire McDaniels. That's what I said. You know, maybe the Lions want something new and team-oriented, not a free agent superstar coach. So you hire someone who's not going to knock it out of the park in the 1 year here, which gives you a better opportunity to go and win the Super Bowl because he's got the whole side of the ball locked down. And Dan Campbell can go focus on being a head coach only. That's crazy. Watch this new OC will do really, really good. Then he'll go to Minnesota or Green Bay. He was already in Minnesota. He was on their staff in 2017. They're trying to find the next Ben for sure, and they need to stop it. Dan will say he fit our culture. Yep. As soon as he gets in front of the media, that's what he's going to say. Lions laid an ostrich egg on dope. We basically waving the white flag on the whole we didn't miss Ben narrative, hiring the best man at his wedding. Yes, we are. Was he even interviewed? I don't remember hearing about it. I didn't hear about it either. Last night, or I should say this morning, I put my show up, and it was called Detroit Lions Fans Are Tired of Watching Other Teams Play Defense. And then I heard the news, and I changed it to Detroit Lions Fans Are Tired of This Bullish. You know what I'm saying? I think Melvin, Dan, Jared are all a cute package deal, and that's a turnoff to most, mainly the golf part. You know what? I think you're right because this guy does fit Jared Goff, likes to use the middle of the field, condensed formations, play action, all that other stuff, which, again, if you guys remember, anybody that watched the Vikings game with me, I kept begging them, games, not just games, spread the defense out, okay? I just remember what I wanted to get, because I couldn't remember what Chris Collinsworth said last night. Chris Collinsworth said, okay, I know most people don't like Chris Collinsworth, but Chris Collinsworth was an NFL player. Chris Collinsworth said that when you condense your formations, he was talking about the Rams. It brings in those guys that are coming off the edge. Because remember, last night, Dennis Allen was sending safeties and corners and blitzes the entire night, and it was rattling the hell out of Matthew Stafford. He was getting sacked. He was getting hit. He was getting rushed. He was getting pressured. The only difference in the game was that the Los Angeles Rams defense made one more play than the Chicago Bears defense. And that was picking off Caleb in overtime. They made one more play. That's it. The game was 20 to 17. One touchdown was scored per team in the second half. 7 points on both sides in 30 minutes of football. 10 points on both sides in the first half. 7 points on both sides in the second half. In 60 minutes of football, both of these teams scored 17 points apiece, and we needed overtime. And the one play that was made was the interception, and that allowed the Rams to go down and kick the game-winning field goal. That's it. So now we're bringing in a guy that uses a bunch of 13 personnel and who is going to send people. We're going to get beat by freaking Minnesota twice again unless, thank God, Brian Flores won't be back. It doesn't make sense at all. It just doesn't make sense. Why are we... He got fired by the Cardinals. The Cardinals hated this man. You know what this is like? You know what this is like? The Eagles. The Eagles fired Kevin Petula. They hated that man, and then they go and hire Johnny Morton. That would be the same exact thing that we just did. The same thing. Because we hated Johnny Morton. So we have a hated freaking offensive coordinator in Kevin Petula. We fire him, and then we go sign Johnny Morton, who the Detroit Lions fans hated because he sucked and he was ineffective. Typical ungrateful Lions fans. You all want Matt Patricia back. Shut the hell up. Be grateful for the team we have. You keep toiling in mediocrity, my guy. You keep not expecting more. This is why the freaking tickets are so goddamn high. The team has done nothing. Win a goddamn Super Bowl. That's what we're here for. I can't understand this type of fan, bro. What the frick are you talking about? Be grateful for the team that you have. What has the team gotten us? My first memories of football were Barry Sanders. How many years ago was that? I'm 43 years old. I'll be 44 years old this year. And you're going to talk about be grateful for the team you have. It's 70-year-olds that ain't seen nothing from this damn team, bro. The frick out of here with that bull crap, man. Be grateful for the team. Grateful for what? What has this team done? What have they won? How many Lombardis are in the freaking trophy case? That's what we want. We're fans of football teams. We want Lombardis. If you don't want a Lombardi, good day, sir. Take your ass somewhere else. Go be a fan of some other team. This is the bullcrap I'm talking about. This is the Philly fan mentality that we need to freaking adopt, bro. I hate the Philly fans. But they get the job done because they don't support mediocrity. Brad Holmes is a mediocre-ass GM that hit on a few draft picks. Hasn't hit on crap in free agency. Hit on trades and then lets the dude. Well, see, I'm getting wound up. Lets the people walk out of the building. That's who you're caping for? I told you I wasn't going to crash out. That just sent me over the edge. That sent me over the edge. Because it's stupid. Watch the Rams win it all this year and Melvin act like he won just like he did last time they won SMH. Fool. Well, he's not winning anything this time because we don't have any picks. I'm starting to believe MCDC don't want to hire anyone that he may feel inferior to, as far as that hire could be his replacement. Brother, you know, I don't even know. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Lord have mercy. Watch Holly divorce Dan if this doesn't work. I doubt it. Dan doesn't like people who will challenge him on things. He's a yes man guy, unfortunately. You know, we didn't think that about him before. And I'm not even going to say he's that type of guy. I'm not. But what I'm going to say is the cronyism and the nepotism is through the roof with him. It's not that he wants a yes man. He wants a guy he's comfortable with. And he's uncomfortable being uncomfortable. And that's crazy as a coach in the NFL. You are always uncomfortable because you are always coaching for your job. If we don't make deep playoff run next season, please fire Brad and Dan. I'm with you, bro. Chris Collinsworth doesn't like Chris Collinsworth. Just saying. Back to being that good old poverty franchise that we all know and love. You're probably not a Lions fan, so be grateful for mid. Boy. Lions had Barry Sanders. Now again, we have bury our dreams of a Super Bowl win. Hotel security just knocked on my door thinking there was an altercation since I got you playing on my Bluetooth. Damn, Don Wick. Or a crash out, Don. LOL. I'm tired, right? That type of thinking is why we are in the place that we are. We accept so much mediocrity because we were 0-16. So what? We were 0-16. And so that doesn't give us the right to win a Super Bowl? How long ago were we 0-16, bro? That was damn near 20 years ago. When Melvin and Dan get fired, who do you want to hire? I don't know. We have to see who's available, bro. Mike McDaniel. But Mike McDaniel is not, based off of what I saw in Miami, I don't want him as a head coach. Perfect fit for an offensive coordinator. I don't know if he's head coaching material. He has to realize he's not going to get that trust he had with Ben and anybody else. He wants to coach with his boys. John Gruden and Rex Ryan. The game may have passed them by. I'm not so sure. Dan is a company man. He will only do what company Fords want. Fords just want butts in the seats. So I'm going to go look at some film on the Cardinals 2024 season to see what the offense looks like. But since I remember the Lions game, I don't think it's going to be very good. As I mentioned before, the Lions game, we were a very good run defense at the time, top 5. It was week 3. I know it's early. He had 3 running backs rush the football. Connor got 17 yards. Benson got 8 yards. And DeMarcado got 7 yards. That's a total of 32 yards. Kyler Murray had 45. Kyler Murray doesn't count because you're not going to get that production out of Jared Goff. You might get 45 yards for the whole season, but you're not going to get that type of production out of Jared Goff. His running backs amassed 32 yards against a top 5 defense. What happens when we need to play really good defenses? We saw that this year. We sucked. Our offense was terrible against really good defenses this year. See what I mean? Doesn't make sense. All right. Before I get out of here, because I gotta run. I gotta eat something right quick, and then I gotta run. Before I get out of here, Michael Brockers was on the Woodward Heavyweights. Shout out to Easy and Spinny and the boys. He said something very interesting. When they asked about basically Brad's approach to such and such, as you know, Michael Brockers played for this regime. He said, well, in a nutshell, the Rams front office and ownership are in lockstep. They all feel that they need to go win now and then make those types of moves. He said he doesn't know if Brad has that type of support. And my question is, if you don't have that type of support, if your hands are tied behind you got one hand tied behind your back, why don't you quit? Why don't you step down as the GM? Because then if you step down as the GM, you actually look better. Because when you go interview for another GM job, why'd you step down? Don't nobody quit as GM of an NFL team. I was hamstrung. I couldn't do anything. But you know why he's not hamstrung, and you know why it's his fault? Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, Manu, Isaac Tesla. He made those choices. He made those decisions. And as far as the man defense, he said basically Shep has basically everybody has egos. So Shep allows his guys to showcase their skill set when they're playing man defense. But when you get practice squad guys and you're down to third string guys and guys that you just pulled in off the street, maybe you need to adjust. This is what he said. So this is a guy who actually played in the NFL. Maybe you need to adjust, Shep, and stop playing people who aren't capable of playing. Stop playing that type of scheme with people who aren't capable of playing it. Maybe, but we'll see. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Appreciate you all. Make sure you have a barf bag with you. I don't need barf bags. I don't pick up drunks. I got it. He wanted to hire someone no one else wanted. Genius. Those are facts. Keep the receipts, guys, but I have lost faith in Melvin Holmes and I'm losing faith in Dan Campbell due to his lousy coaching hires. Those are facts. And $1 billion invested in 9 players. Martha wouldn't have done that. She wouldn't. Melvin isn't moving like win now is what he wants to do anyway, whether he is supported or not. These are facts. Thanks for the show. No problem. Appreciate you all. Tactical needs that barf bag watching 24 cards. Oh, okay. All right, y'all. Once again, the Motor City Cats R&D back at it. We came to give you stats, none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And hopefully tomorrow we can talk about these defenses in the playoffs because we don't have a playoff caliber defense, especially not these guys. They have been killing quarterbacks all postseason long. All right, we're out of here. Peace.